Hello.
Hello, Clue. How are you?
Hello there, Mr. Master. I am A-OK. I wanted to ask you, am I doing video as well, or is this just going to be an audio cast?
It can be audio. You don't have to share video if you don't want to.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record on my end and then send you the high quality audio later so you don't have to settle with Discord audio.
Yeah, okay, sure. It's a great idea.
Okay.
All right, so let's start with the questions. So,
All right. Well, hold on. Let me start my recording first. Give me 1 second. I gotta start that.
sorry about that. I'm a bit. Sorry, I tend to rush into things.
That's all right. No problem. MME. I think that'll be fine. Recording mono. Okay. I am now recording on my end.
One thing I have noticed is that, like me, you have a different profile picture for Discord and YouTube, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So one of the things, the reason that I have separate profile pictures for YouTube and Discord is because my mascot KK, the purple cat dude, he represents me in a sort of portfolio kind of sense, where I feel like that's the iconic character, but I exist alternatively from KK, right? I'm me, the human being, whereas, he's like a mascot.
Yeah.
So on Discord, I have a profile picture that looks pretty close to what I look like in real life. Obviously, it's a silly cartoon person, but it's a human being, and it represents me. That represents me more accurately than KK does. KK represents my content, whereas that drawing of me represents me. So, because I wanted to keep the impression that when people contact me on Discord, they're talking to me, the human being, so I don't have to role play as this other character.
Yeah. It looks like an Animal Crossing character. Was that the inspiration for it?
Almost certainly, yeah. I used to make Animal Crossing stuff, so there's definitely a little bit of Animal Crossing inspiration blended in there. But KK exists completely independently of Animal Crossing. He's not like an Animal Crossing fan character or anything. I just like cartoon cats, so that's why he exists.
Yeah, because the thing is, I came across your channel very recently, and it's very good. It's a very good channel.
Thank you.
It's very good stuff. Like the 3DS cartridge is mainly the that seems to be one of the most popular ones. The one with the 3DS, the Wii one where it has the startup music. Because I've used the 3DS, so I remember it fondly.
Yeah, so the reason that series of videos exists, I made that Wii one on a whim, and it didn't do very well. It kind of stuck around at 30,000 views for a really long time. It was like a flop. And then randomly, YouTube blessed me by picking that video up into recommendations completely randomly, something ridiculous, 6 to 9 months later after I uploaded it. And it got to 1 million views in just a few months.
Also, it was novel and unique, which makes it stand out. Because if no one else has done something like that, of course YouTube's going to favor it. YouTube tends to push novel ideas more ahead of things that are already on YouTube. If it's new and no one's done it before, it'll be pushed up. Because I noticed that my Splatoon 3, my evolution of Splatoon tutorial levels, that got 2,000 views, and I think it's because no one had done that yet. So I kind of rushed to do it before everyone else, because evolution videos do very well, but a lot of evolution videos have already been done.
Oh yeah, people love to do, the audience loves to do little comparisons, here's one thing and here's another thing, compare them, people like improvements, people like seeing active improvements. There are so many shows, TV shows out there that are entirely built off of that concept of just here's a thing, here's how it's improved.
Are you working on any new videos at the moment?
Oh yeah, I'm working on a ton of stuff. I'm constantly juggling 2 or 3, maybe 4 projects at a time. Most of which I'm sorry I can't talk about right now.
No,
I try to keep that stuff under wraps.
That's fine. Obviously, you don't want to spoil it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I don't like to spoil all my surprises. But I have already announced that it is anotare late 90s, early 2000s video.
Because I grew up in that time period.
It's not rhythm game related.
I grew up in that time period. Here's my question. When are you going to do the Wii U version of the 3DS cartridge and the Wii one? Because the Wii U games have startup music as well.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. It's a very pleasant aesthetic. The reason why I haven't done it until now is because the Wii U startup intro videos kind of thing. It's I don't know how to describe it, but it's every game has a different sort of standard for it. So some games, when you boot them up, it'll just be a static PNG with a bit of audio. Now, if I just and it would be okay if it was just like if I do actually have a sketch of that video. I have like I started working on that video. I have a cut of it that I made in like 2020, like literally years ago now. And it was just the static JPEG or the static PNG that the game boots up with the audio. But then that didn't end up being very fun to watch because it was just static image with a sound effect, static image with a sound effect.
Yeah.
Right. But the whole thing that makes the Wii and the 3DS ones interesting is that they're kind of animated. They've got some flourish to them.
I did notice the Wii ones were a bit static, but it's better than the Switch, which just doesn't have anything. So in a lot of regards, the Wii U does things better than the Switch. It feels more alive. The Switch feels very emotionless. It just
I've heard the opposite extreme of people that thought the Wii U was kind of overstimulatingly alive.
I liked that. I liked the fact that it was overstimulated and it was all animated, and there was background music whenever you had the menu open. Like the Switch just feels empty and cold and lifeless. Why did Nintendo
I completely
take that
agree.
path?
They kind of started aiming at this sort of very straightforward aesthetic.
Yeah.
I imagine solely inspired by all the people that thought that the Wii U was sort of overstimulating and just too much.
They turned it back too much.
But I am a person that, as an ADHD person, I like that it was overstimulating.
Yeah,
the Wii U was... sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I also have ADHD/Asperger's/autism. I don't know if it's one of the three because it's different, but yeah, that's me as well.
Yeah, same here. You and I both are on the neurodivergent spectrum.
Yeah.
I have ADHD. I'm pretty sure I have Asperger's. I've never been diagnosed.
Yep. And
but,
we
you,
YouTubers
man.
must band together because there are, I don't know how many Asperger YouTubers there are, but there are some of us. And I did end up mentioning on my YouTube channel because people were kind of bullying me, but I said, this is why I behave the way that I do. Okay. It's not on purpose.
Yeah, man. Just don't give them the time of day. It ain't worth it.
Yeah. So I have a few questions for you. So first question is, how and when did you discover YouTube?
Oh, I've been on YouTube since the early days. I first started using YouTube in 2006, 2007. I was there from the very, very early beginnings. So not quite the very beginning when 2005. It was more around like late 2006, early 2007. And I uploaded my first YouTube video in 2008. I've been on this site for a very, very long time, and I've seen it grow along with me.
Interesting.
It has been very magical, and I don't know when the point was that I decided that I really wanted to pursue YouTube, because I never really stopped pursuing YouTube. I've been on and off. I've had so many different accounts through the years that have come and gone, and then I don't know. It felt like a natural occurrence that I started doing YouTube full time because I've been making videos forever.
Because your current channel was in January 2020, which is when you created. So obviously, all the channels you created in the very beginning are not around anymore. They're deleted or in something.
Not all of them are deleted. Some of them are still around. I just don't upload them on them anymore.
Yeah.
But most of them aren't attached to me in any way.
Yeah.
So if you guys can figure out some sort of scavenger hunt to dig up my old channels, you're very welcome to do that. They're all, most of my old ones are still public. The ones that aren't banned are still public. Because a few of my accounts got straight up nuked because I was under 13. You have to be 13 to have a YouTube account.
That's true, yeah.
And I made a lot of those when I was like 2 or 3 accounts when I was under 13. So they got nuked.
I think my first account I created my first YouTube channel in 2012, but I kind of abandoned it, because it was using my real name, which my parents said no to. So my current channel was created in April 2014. In fact, the most impressive thing about your channel is, despite the fact that you created 6 years after I created mine, you got more subscribers than me, which is impressive, because normally people who start the channels earlier have the advantage because they've been doing it longer. But because your video quality is better than mine, because I won't deny it's definitely better, that's why you have more subscribers. So I'm not jealous. I'm impressed, honestly.
Oh yeah, no, of course, it's just a number. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and also
I think that we're all in this together, man. We're all YouTubers. We gotta look out for each other.
Well, I have been jealous of channels that have more subscribers than me, but I've realized that doesn't get me anywhere. And of course, I got to get along with other people and not just be jealous, because obviously people have more subscribers because they're better. It's as simple as that. Because I've seen a lot of
No,
channels that
you don't have to read it as jealousy. You can read it as inspiration.
that's what I'm
Like
working
to
on
sort
doing
of
now.
reverse engineer what it is that you like about these creators, and implement those bits and pieces into what you make.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a really normal like thing to do. It's so common. I mean, I've done it so many times. I've just like will straight up figure out little tips and tricks from people that I like, and then implement it into what I do, and then it just becomes part of my toolkit for video making.
My other question. This wasn't a question that I was asked, but is your YouTube your main source of income, or do you have a job as well?
No, it is. YouTube is my full-time job, and it's a really risky full-time job.
Yes, that's why it's not my full-time job, because my views are so low that I make barely any money. So I don't rely as an income because I don't get enough views. Your views are good though; those are solid. I don't know what your ad revenue for months, but it'd be a lot higher than mine. You don't have to tell me because it's probably private.
Well, I mean, the only thing that I want to say about monthly income is that it ain't pretty. It ain't a good living. It's an okay living. It is survivable, let's say. But not a fancy living.
Yeah.
I really could use a little bit more per month.
Yeah.
But I just have to put in the work.
Because I got the most I make is like $5 a month, and last month because of the Splatoon video that got 2,000 views, it's like $16 that month. So for me, it's like $5, $10 if I'm lucky, and the minimum I'd need to live on would be like 5,000 a month, which I'm not even close to getting.
That's just rent, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I don't earn nearly enough to live on my YouTube ad revenue, so I don't rely on it.
You're talking 5,000 Australian dollars,
Yes,
right?
at least 5,000 a month, maybe more, because like that's the bare minimum.
Right.
Yeah, the Australian dollars.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes more sense. I just converted it to US dollar now, because 5,000. I was thinking US dollars. I was like, oh god, that's so much.
No, that's not. That's
but
not.
no,
what
that's a little bit more reasonable.
Yeah, I think 5,000.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah,
that's like 3,000 USD.
Yeah, it's somewhere around 3,100.
That's you can live on that just about.
Absolutely, yeah, you can definitely live on that. But yeah, so one thing that I did learn is that something that I had to learn firsthand is that the algorithm will drop you at the drop of a hat. Like they will just completely drop you out of the algorithm if you make something that even doesn't please it a little bit. If you displease the algorithm, it will displease you.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I can agree with that. I experienced
My Beatmania video was really risky because I really wanted to make it, and I had been putting like 9 months of effort into it, like so much time I sank into that video, and it just totally flopped. People just didn't care, and I've been suffering the brunt of that financially, because when one video doesn't do well, all of the rest of your videos they suffer the blow of that as well. So, when I was getting passive income from other videos continuing to be recommended, I dropped the Beatmania video, and then my view numbers tanked, and now I have to work really hard to get back to where I was.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And because it's my full-time job, I'm scared, because it's like, oh god, I need to pay rent next month, right?
Yeah.
So that's scary.
Because with my channel, what happened was I got all my subscribers from uploading episodes of Slug Terror, which is a Canadian TV show, if you didn't know what it was. And
oh yeah, I was wondering about that.
and I uploaded them. I was monetized. Well, those ones had copyright claims. But the thing is, because I was getting so many views, I decided to upload gaming Let's Plays alongside the Slug Terror, because people watch the Slug Terror would also watch the gaming Let's Plays. And I was enjoying good views. And then in November 2018, I was demonetized, and I deleted the Slug Terror videos. Although in hindsight, I probably should have privated them. And as soon as I deleted them, my channel, the view count plummeted. It just plummeted because, again, the algorithm realized that because I didn't have those videos, people weren't watching. So the algorithm punished me because I didn't have those videos anymore. But I should have privated them and not deleted them. So that's what happened. I fell off. And the problem is, because my views are low and my subscribers are high, people were like, oh, you've got botted subscribers. And I have to constantly defend myself and say, no, they're not bots. It's just I uploaded Slug Terror episodes which aren't on my channel anymore. I have to constantly defend myself. It's annoying to have people accuse me of that because it's not true.
That actually was one of my questions.
Yeah, I can also prove it as well if you want proof for it.
No, what you said is believable. I have no reason not to doubt you on that.
Some people want proof, though. That's why I'm prepared to give it.
Because one of my questions that I had planned was I was curious about if you had botted views.
Yeah, no, they're not botted.
Not botted views, botted subs.
Yeah, nothing's botted. But people always assume that because of the discrepancy between views and subscribers.
Right. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, yeah, but that's fine. I mean, you got something. You're remonetized, right?
Yeah, I'm monetized now. December 2020 is when I got
Okay, good.
reinstated. But the thing is, I should have gotten monetized earlier because I didn't realize that when YouTube blocked me from monetization for reused content doesn't just mean videos you've re-uploaded that someone else's. That includes videos where the videos are own, but the audio is copyrighted. That's reused content.
Yeah, I
So
was gonna say it
any
includes
video
audio.
any video with a copyright claim. I didn't know that though. They
Yeah,
didn't specify.
I've been through that plenty. Yeah, I actually I've had a pretty good run with copyrighted content. I think I only got hit maybe once or twice, but it was pretty minor. I tend to I play it pretty safe, and I don't do that out of fear. I do that just because I guess I'm just like that. I don't know. Like people, I occasionally I'll write. Like people ask me why I don't swear in my videos, and I'm not like a prude. I don't care about swearing. I don't mind. But I've seen people get dinged for like very minor swearing. So and also it's because I'm writing a script, right? When you're writing a script, you don't really need filler words. You don't really need any expletives. They don't really make sense when you're reading off of a script. Like if it's an improv setting like a stream or something, that's completely reasonable for it to slip out or for it to make sense for you to say swear words. But like when I have to put months of planning and effort and writing and voiceover work into it, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it just kind of stops making sense. And then on top of that, the additional risk of getting your video potentially dinged, potentially age restricted, it's just not worth it. And also, I like being able to show my mom my videos.
Well, yeah, the fact that you're family friendly gets a big thumbs up from me because I like family friendly content creators. They're the best. Content family friendly, commentators family friendly. So you get a thumbs up from me from that guy. I love family friendly creators. They remind me of myself a lot because I'm family friendly. Again, because I think swear words are just offensive and unnecessary, and I want my content to be for a general audience. So good on you for not using swear words in your videos.
Yeah, it was one of those things that it was just easier for me to not do than to do. So I was like, yeah, just forget it. Like that, I designed KKClue to be. I don't even know if family friendly is the right word because my demographics are aiming towards young adults. But because like I talk about stuff that young adults are interested in. But having the option to be able to show my video to my mom is nice.
Yeah.
So why not?
Some other question would be have you tried out using shorts to see how they would do on your channel? Have you tried shorts?
Oh man, I have tried it. And I've had people ask me about that recently, actually, because there are some topics that I want to talk about that don't really make sense in long format. I was thinking of picking it back up again, but the last time I did shorts, it performed so poorly, like worse than any video I've ever made. So I just unlisted it and then moved on.
Yeah, see,
but it was an experiment and it didn't go well.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. My experience with shorts has been mixed. But most of them got low views. The one where it was my 23rd birthday got a lot of views, which was nice. The one where I was showing footage of Splatoon 2 clips did well, and as did the Splatoon 3 Splatfest highlights, like 200 views, which in my opinion, which for me is pretty good. Another video that did surprisingly well was when I was uploading shorts of a kookaburra and a magpie in my back garden, like the sound of the bird when it was calling. The kookaburra especially did very well, like 1,000 views. So I guess people like to hear Australian birds. They do sound very nice, I will agree.
Oh yeah, no, I am a huge sucker for animal videos. I will watch cat videos, bird videos, all kinds of animal videos on YouTube all the time. It's like one of my main pieces, like that's one of my main genres of content. I consume quite a lot of it. Facebook Watch.
Yeah, I've used it every now and then.
Yeah, same here. So I use Facebook for. I'm a big arcade nerd, so I go on Facebook for arcade deals, and that's basically why I'm there. I check it every day, check local listings, Facebook Marketplace, all that stuff. But they also have this feature called Facebook Watch, which is essentially just like TikToks or Instagram stories just crammed into Facebook. And occasionally I will see a kitten and I will click on the kitten because I have the brain of a monkey. So I will just watch anything that seems like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because with my videos of the shorts with the birds, you can't see them because they're like in the garden at the back, but you can hear them. And the kookaburra sounds like it's laughing, which when my father first came to Australia from the UK, he thought it was a monkey. It's quite a nice sound. And of course, the magpie sounds so nice. I'd call the magpie sound warbling. Of course, you've got to watch out now because in September and October and that springtime of the year, they do swoop to protect their nests. So you have to be careful with magpies. They can be quite aggressive. So let's see
I
what.
can't say I'm too familiar with Australian birds.
Yeah, you should really come here one day. It's a lovely country. We're very welcoming to tourists, and I believe Americans like Australia, don't they? Most of them
Just like
like.
in general?
Well, yeah, I feel like in most cases, the American opinion of Australia is they like it. They have a positive impression because it is a very welcoming country. It's beautiful. You got the coast. We got the best beaches in the world: Bondi, Manly. Got Gold Coast, the Sunshine Coast. There's even a place in Australia called Surfers Paradise. That's the literal name.
That's sick.
Yeah, it is. I've not been there though.
Speaking from a central East Coast American, I don't really know that there's a lot of places that Americans would slag off. I feel like most people around this area would think of Australia just as positively as anywhere else, like Europe or Japan or whatever. I feel like the only time that people would actually slag off a country is if they're doing something actively terrible, like trying to go to war against somebody or whatever. But I can't imagine why any general American wouldn't like Australia. I feel like the only stereotype that I've heard is that there are like super deadly spiders. But we also have deadly spiders here, so I don't know why that stereotype
The
exists.
spiders are mostly in the outback, although you do find the funnel web in Sydney, hence why it's called the Sydney funnel web. But again, as long as you know what to look for, you're fine. Also, because they've developed an anti-venom, there are no deaths anymore, because if you get bitten, you can just get anti-venom. The most dangerous one, the funnel web's the most dangerous, but the one you'll see most often is the redback, which is called that because there's a red spot on its back. So again, it's pretty distinctive. If you see a small black spider with a red spot on its back, avoid at all costs. The red dot's kind of a warning.
Right.
Also,
Yeah, but that's pretty much all I know. I mean, yeah, I'd be down to visit Australia someday.
Also, if you go to the
travel
zoo,
is not my number one priority right now.
if you go to the zoo, I must recommend Australia Zoo. I've not been there, but that's the best zoo in Australia. That's where Bindi Owen's family is, because you've probably heard of Steve Owen.
Steve-O?
Steve Owen.
Steve Irwin.
Yes,
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's not alive anymore. He's killed by a stingray, but his family still runs Australia Zoo in Queensland. I'm going to go there someday because, embarrassingly, despite living in Australia and being born here, I haven't been to a lot of places in Australia. So I really need to change that. I need to explore more of my own country because it's a big country.
Have you visited the Outback?
I've been to Uluru, but I didn't climb it. This was when they were allowing you to climb it. It's not allowed anymore.
Oh.
But I've been to your country though, not the state you live in, which is North Carolina, right?
Oh, yeah. That's correct. How'd you know that?
Well, I think it was on your channel as your PO box or something. That's what.
That's
it
right.
said
Yeah, I have a
NC, which is
PO
North
box.
Carolina, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
Yes. So I've been to.
I don't know why I'm always surprised when people know that, but yeah, of course.
Yeah. See, I was born in Sydney, by the way, which is not the capital of Australia, but it does have the highest population, kind of like New York City.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sydney's the biggest city in Australia.
It's similar to
right?
New York City, but obviously it's
Right.
not as big because it's got home to 5 million people. New York City's got a lot more than 5 million.
Would you say that Sydney's like the tourist trap of Australia?
Yeah, but because it's a big city, it's very crowded, it's very noisy, it's a bit polluted as well.
Right.
It's also very expensive to live in. The cost of living in Sydney is insane.
When I was a kid, my first bit of knowledge about Australia came from the movie Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the Great Barrier Reef is located off the coast of Australia, the biggest reef in the world. So you have to come to Australia to see the Great Barrier Reef, as long as, provided it's still around, because God knows what will happen to it in several years if humans don't clean up their act.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, the ecological impact of human beings is very high. But admittedly, I don't know a ton about the topic, so it's not something that I really want to pursue talking about because I don't know very much about it.
Yeah, well, the two things I admire about the US is that they're doing better when it comes to environmental action. They've got nuclear power plants, which Australia doesn't have yet. They also have a better electric vehicle charging infrastructure, which Australia doesn't have yet.
Yeah. I definitely know. I mean, I've met plenty of people that have full electric vehicles, because for a while it was hybrids, which still had some which still used fossil fuels. But yeah, I feel like I've known a few people throughout my life that have gotten full electric cars, which is definitely a step in the right direction.
They're actually shutting down the biggest power plant in New South Wales several years ahead of schedule. The one in Arrowing. It's in New South Wales, really far away from Sydney, but of course it delivers power, so it's fossil fuel. They're shutting it down in 2 years instead of in 10 years.
Right.
which is great. Would you like to know the place I've been to in the US?
Yeah, tell me.
So I've been to Florida to see. That was to go to Walt Disney World, which I had a lot of fun there.
Yeah, you went to Orlando.
Yeah, I went to Orlando, and I also went to Blizzard Beach, which is a water park.
I love Orlando. I went there a couple years ago in 2020. I believe it was January 2020.
Yeah.
Was the last time I went to Orlando. That's like 5 states down from me. And I went there for my 21st birthday. I went to Universal Studios Orlando.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of. I like a lot of Universal properties. I like Shrek. I like SpongeBob. What else do I like from there?
I used to like SpongeBob, but I've kind of grown out of it.
Oh yeah, I mean, going back to the early seasons, like seasons 1 through 3, like I still think they're masterpieces.
Do you like 2000s and 90s stuff because you grew up in that time?
Well, weirdly, I was a little bit late to the 90s. I was a little baby in the 90s, so I didn't really get to experience a lot of that.
How late were you born in the 90s then?
I was 99, so I pretty much experienced none of it.
I mean, that's
the
the
only
same
thing
year
that
as
I
me, though, so you're
experienced
about
were
the same
things
age as
that
me.
were. Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Yeah, I'm also 23.
Yep,
Very
same
good.
age.
So the reason that's like what you posed is actually a good question. Why do I focus on early 90s? Sorry, what you posed was actually a good question. Why do I focus on late 90s, early 2000s stuff? It's not because I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I do have some nostalgia for the early 2000s because that's where I'm from. And I got to experience a lot of late 90s stuff just, overflowing into the early 2000s. But the reason why I focus on the late 90s, early 2000s specifically, also known as, shorthand for Y2K, people just say, why do you like Y2K?
Yeah, Y2K.
Yeah, it's because I feel like that was the peak of creativity in media. I think that everything after the early 2000s was sort of diminishing returns for how good a piece of media could be. It's when media started to have this noticeable shift in focus towards industrialization of media, which has its pros and cons. It means that more shows can be made at one time. It means that things can be gotten out quicker. You have more jobs for people that are working in the field because you have bigger staffs just to get things out faster. And there's more stuff for people to watch in general as a pro. But it also means that things are more, media is more designed to fit that model. It's sort of become homogenous. Everything is more homogenized to appeal to the everyman because everything is so entrenched in economic gain and loss. Everything is tied to economics and capitalism. The creative vision can so often get lost. You have so many cooks in the kitchen nowadays with any piece of media that it feels impossible to have the director's vision truly come out as intended. And it's very noticeable with video games. Video games are so insanely homogenized now because there's so much risk involved in making a video game. It takes so long, and that's kind of why so many services, like so many games, have become services, is because you can just poop something out and then have it just slowly grow into something good, but only after people have stopped caring.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to tell you the other place I've been to. So I've also been to Massachusetts, I've been to Massachusetts because my mother's friend lives there. So I've been there. It's a nice place. My father's been to Utah. I haven't, though. Where else? My mother's actually been to Disneyland and Disney World, but she says Disney World's better because it's bigger. Because the land in Florida
I've always heard that Disney World is better.
Yeah.
I've never been to Disneyland, but everyone that I talked to, even people from California, were like, "Nah, man, go to Orlando."
Part of me wants to go back to Disney World, but the problem is, without going into too much detail, Florida has become a lot more politically volatile. If you know what I'm saying, but I won't really elaborate on that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I want to avoid politics discussion because it's quite polarizing, especially in a country like the US where someone can want to kill you if you have a different opinion. So I'll avoid that. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not flying any colors, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah. So the other place I've been to is I've been to California, not for Disneyland, but I went to Los Angeles. The thing is, I went to Santa Barbara because my sister studied there. She studied at the University of California, Santa Barbara for a brief bit, so I went to visit her. So she was studying in the US for a bit. The reason that we went there, it was very quiet because I think it was like a holiday or something. And I saw the beach. It was nice. So I've only seen the west coast of the beach, not the east coast. So I've only seen the west coast.
Did you get the food there?
Did I get the food? I'm not sure. I do remember one place I went to, which was not California, but it was close by. I went to, where was it? Nevada? Yeah, Nevada. I went to Las Vegas.
Oh man, how old were you when you went to Las Vegas?
I was 20, I think. So I was old enough to drink.
Oh, so
I couldn't gamble.
Yeah.
I mean, I was old enough in Australia to gamble or drink alcohol, but US is 21, so not old enough. But I didn't want to gamble.
Gambling is 21 here?
Yeah, it's 21 in the US. I think. I don't know if it's...
I knew that drinking was 21 in the US. I didn't know gambling was.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's also gambling, but that doesn't matter. Gambling's a waste of money. So I went...
Well, yeah, no, of course.
I went to stay at the Bellagio, which is quite a nice place. The Bellagio.
I mean, I would want to go. The reason that I would want to travel is to just sort of enrich myself, to broaden my mind in a way, experience how other people work, and get perspective of my own life. But it's not a major priority for me.
Yeah, one of the other things I did while I was in Nevada is I went exploring on all the nature. So I went to see the Grand Canyon. I went to see Antelope. What was it? Meadview, I think it's called. Meadview was another place. I went to see all these places that were like nature. I think there was actually snow on the ground. It was so cold because I went during winter. So I went to Meadview, Antelope Canyon. I went to the Grand Canyon, all those places. And that was amazing. We went in a helicopter over it, and the view was astonishing. Lovely weather too. Like when you go on the helicopter, you realize that Las Vegas is in the middle of a desert. There's like literally nothing for kilometers around it. It's like in the middle of nowhere.
Speaking of that, Australia is like as a continent is like 90% uninhabitable desert. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, that's precisely why all the capital cities are on the coast, because they're really the only places that are habitable. You've got Sydney, you've got Brisbane, you've got Melbourne. Well, if they're not on the coast, they're near a river that goes into the ocean. They're usually on a river, a lot of them. If you look at where they're located.
So, what do you think? Do you think it would be beneficial for the higher ups of Australia to plan to create a man-made river through the middle of the country to make some more of the continent livable, or do you think it should stay a desert?
I mean, I don't really think we should change the desert in Australia because it's natural. It's how it's always been. I just don't really. The better thing to do with Australia is to build a rail network. Because like a train network that goes across every state, because the interstate railway is not very comprehensive. It doesn't go to every state. I'm not sure what the US has for interstate railway. I don't know if it's better than what we have. But mind you, you have a lot more states to link up.
I wouldn't know either, actually. I've never been on a train before. It might be a thing, just not here.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything is by car. Like this entire area. Everywhere that I've been on the East Coast of America, everyone travels by car. If you don't have a car, you just don't get to do anything.
Yeah, because like you could get an Uber, but there's more Ubers, but also more people who want Ubers. Plus, it's probably more expensive.
Oh yeah, dude, Uber is super expensive.
Also, you have to get used to tipping people because in Australia, you can tip Uber drivers, but you don't have to. In America, if you don't tip them, they don't get. They're very annoyed about that.
I do not like the tipping custom here, but you are correct. Yeah, the tipping custom, it is extremely customary, and people will spit in your food if you don't.
The thing is, they should just make wages better. Like, people shouldn't have to rely on
generosity. I agree. They should make wages better. I completely agree. It's ridiculous that this whole thing has come up of just pay people more. And what I will say that is good about that, about me thinking that people should be paid more, service people especially, is that is happening. COVID kind of shook up people's lives. COVID got all these businesses to be like, well, all these workers were like, yeah, I'm not gonna risk my life with a disease around for $7.50 an hour.
Yeah, the minimum wage in the US
started paying more to keep their employees.
The minimum wage in the US sucks. It's like even accounting for the exchange rate, it's lower than the Australian minimum wage. The Australian minimum wage is like $18 an hour, 15. That's still higher, even if you convert
that is
it.
very, very good. That is a very good wage.
It's under 20, but it's at least 15 to 18 Australian dollars.
Yeah, that's very good.
So you're even accounting for exchange rate.
That is handsome.
Yeah, and it's accounting for exchange rate. That's like 12, 13 US dollars.
Yeah, like even that is good.
Yeah, because most minimum wages.
That's more around what it's like here.
Most minimum
thankfully,
wages in
after
the US
COVID.
are under $10 US, which is too low. It should be double digits at minimum. My other question was going to be, what was it going to be? Have you ever used Google Stadia or YouTube TV?
Okay, Google Stadia has been on my mind recently because they just shut it down.
Yeah, it never came to Australia, by the way, so I've never had a chance to try it out.
I never got to try it either because I never had any practical purpose for it.
Yeah.
It kind of exists. It started existing and then it was a laughing stock because it's a solution to a problem that no one has. But also, my brother was smart and he bought a box. He bought the controller just to have, because I mean, he didn't like buy the service. I think he just bought the controller just because it was a fascinating thing. And then it never really did any that service never really went anywhere.
Because my
and then it disappeared.
my
It's
complaint
gone
was,
now.
even though it was terrible, I wanted to try it. But because it did so badly, they never gave Australia the chance to try it. It was only the US. So you never got it, but at least you could buy it if you wanted to. Whereas Australians never actually got to try it out. It's never given to us.
I do feel fine about having never tried it because I've tried services that are pretty much exactly like it. I've tried NVIDIA GeForce Now. I've tried PlayStation Now, which are pretty much identical services to Google Stadia, but on different platforms.
Have you tried Xbox Game Pass?
They are both. Game Pass isn't. I think Game Pass has streaming stuff, but it isn't primarily streaming stuff. It's just like a membership where you can download lots of games. And the thing that you have to realize about GeForce Now, about PlayStation Now, and Xbox Game Pass streaming is that they are all fine. They are all okay. Sometimes they would have connection issues. Sometimes the game would run at a really poor frame rate. It would have bad color compression. They all performed equally badly. Right. And sometimes equally badly was okay enough to be playable. But between my boyfriend and I, we have a lot of video game machines. We have a lot of video game machines. So we never needed a streaming service to do that for us.
Oh, you have a boyfriend?
It never had any purpose.
I was going to ask you if you had if you're in a relationship with anyone.
Yeah. Yes. I've been in a relationship with my lovely boyfriend Luke. We've been together for looking at the year, it has been.
That's why I tend to ask. That's why
5 years.
These days I tend to ask someone if they have a partner, because the thing is, if I ask a man if he has a girlfriend or a girl if she has a boyfriend, I'm assuming that they're straight, and that I shouldn't. I should be more open to the fact that some of them may have a same-sex relationship, which you seem to have. And that's perfectly fine.
Partner is fine. You can say, are you in a relationship?
Yeah.
I don't think that any reasonable gay person would be offended if you assumed that they were straight. It is very normal to assume that people are straight. It has been the standard for literally, probably I would say hundreds, if not thousands of years. So yeah,
well, Australia legalized same-sex marriage a few years ago. And I was one of the people that voted yes on it, because I was like, if two people love each other, the gender should not matter, really.
Nah, that stuff don't matter at all, man.
Yeah, so I'm happy for you. So what I was also going to ask is, have you used YouTube Premium? Not YouTube Premium, YouTube TV.
Oh yeah, YouTube TV. Okay, yes, I actually like YouTube TV. I use it very often.
I have not. I used it once, and I used a VPN because it's not available in Australia, because it uses the US.
What did you think of it?
I used it to watch what was it? AFV, America's Funniest Videos.
Oh man, AFV, that is an old classic.
Yeah, I don't know who the current.
Why'd you watch AFV?
Well, Australia used to have a funniest videos thing, but they shut it down, I guess, because it wasn't popular enough. It's good to see America has one though, but I imagine the reason they still have one is because there's bigger audience, because of the high population. Also, the reason it's funnier than the Australian one is because there's a stereotype that Americans are known for doing really stupid things.
That is definitely true.
Yeah,
that stereotype is very true.
Like, the thing is, a lot of the accidents that occur in America, like, might be to do with fireworks or people accidentally setting off guns. Hopefully, no one getting shot, though, of course. But like fireworks, especially, because like if you want to set off fireworks in Australia, you need a permit. There's so much legislation involved. In America, you just have to be old enough, right? Obviously, there's an age limit, I'm sure.
It depends on where you are. There's state legislations you have to look out for. Like in California, for example, California has problems with the droughts. So fireworks are completely banned in California.
Yeah.
You are not allowed to have any fireworks whatsoever,
fire risk.
and you have to drive another state over in order to fire off fireworks
Australia's
without
the same,
getting in trouble with the law.
Australia's the same because if there's a fire warning, you can't use fireworks. But do you have to be a certain age to set off fireworks? Because assume that at minimum have an age requirement.
I don't think so. I've never heard of an age requirement on fireworks.
Yeah.
I mean, there's recommendations like, have your parents around, right? But I don't think there's any law
I would like
about
to think
age.
that there's an age requirement because if there isn't, that sounds a bit irresponsible.
Well, yeah, it would be. I don't think that anybody's going to be like, here you go, you little 8-year-old, set this off.
Because I think in the UK...
there's a social ramification for having a young person do fireworks. I don't think it's illegal, though.
I think in Australia, not in Australia, sorry, in the UK, the firework laws are not very strict, but there's an age limit. There's an age law enforced. So anyone can set off fireworks, but you have to be a certain age. So there's an age limit for the UK, but in Australia, it's age and a bunch of permits. You need a permit and you have to be old enough. So Australia's the most strict. They didn't used to be this way, though.
About you mentioned about guns and that stereotype of Americans owning guns once again is absolutely true. There are lots and lots of gun owners here.
Yeah.
And I'm all for protecting that right. I don't really care. But I don't know. I think that as long as people are being safe with them, I don't really mind.
Well, from what I heard, you didn't need to have a gun registered. Like in Australia, every gun you own has to have a registered owner.
That's correct. You have to register your weapons and you have to have a license to own.
Yeah, like I've got a firearms license, but it's only for rifle. I can't use a handgun or a pistol. That would require a separate license because those things are way more dangerous.
Yes.
I'm not sure if there's I'm not sure. Well, obviously the US. You don't need a license in the US, do you, for a firearm? I mean.
Yes, you do. You need a license to fire a firearm.
Is it a separate license for handgun and rifle?
I haven't heard that. But I could believe that there is. I don't have a firearms license. My brother does. I do not.
Yeah.
So I'm not familiar if there are separate licenses.
Because what happened in Australia is the law used to be really lax, and then in the 90s there was a massacre, a shooting in Port Arthur by this crazy man who at the moment is currently serving a life sentence in maximum security. He went on a mass shooting spree, and because the firearm laws are not restricted, and in the aftermath, the Prime Minister John Howard from the Liberal Party, it's kind of like the equivalent of the Republican Party. It's the party that represents the conservative politics. One of the few good things he did, because a lot of people didn't like him because he was trying to get rid of Medicare, which is Australia's universal healthcare, which I'm glad is still around because universal healthcare, I cannot understate how important that is because the US doesn't have that. They've got Medicare and Medicaid, but from what I know, it only helps out veterans and old people, not like everyday citizens.
That's correct. Yes, there is no universal healthcare. There absolutely should be. That is unacceptable that there is not.
Yeah. Although that being said, I still have private health cover because there are certain things that the government healthcare won't cover. So you still need private health cover in Australia.
Right. Yeah.
As soon as he was arrested and locked up, John Howard basically put in he put in a bunch of firearm laws to make the firearm laws very strict, and it was passed pretty much unanimously. Sure, there was a bit of opposition, but the laws passed unanimously because everyone in Australia realised that if they didn't make the law strict, these mass shootings would just keep on happening. Unfortunately, in the US, there isn't enough people wanting to change the law to get changed. Like the US has loads of mass shootings, and they still won't make the laws stricter.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there are plenty of reasons for why that is. Probably none of which are any good, but it's enough that things are just kind of staying still here, and I don't like that very much. Yeah. But what can I do?
Yeah, what can you do? So my other question would be, good to hear you like YouTube TV because I've had very limited experience with it because, first of all, it costs money, which I'm not willing to pay for, and second of all, I need VPN, which is a major hassle. Also, when it asked me for an address, I actually gave it the White House address because it treats that as a valid address. Because it's a valid US
didn't verify it. It was like, okay.
It's like, that's a valid US. That's fine. It just accepted it.
Okay, I do want to say YouTube TV is my only way to access cable television legally.
Yeah.
So I like YouTube TV. I like that it's convenient. You can do a family sharing plan, so my parents pay for it or whatever, and then I get access to it as well. So whenever I really like a TV show and I want to see it pretty soon after it comes out, I will watch it on there, and that way I can support the creator, which is really nice because I don't have cable or anything.
I do wish it was available in Australia, but that may not ever happen.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, that like a lot of cable television is so wrapped up in copyright law. It's doubtful. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we can hope. We can always hope, but yeah, a lot of the cable television stuff that happens, I'm pretty sure, since Google and YouTube are both American businesses, I'm sure that their main focus, their main demographic is to serve the United States.
Yeah.
But that is a shame, and it's also because the stuff that they serve is also American programming.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I like about California is it's where Silicon Valley is, all the tech companies. Because I'm a big fan of Apple. Apple's a cool company in my opinion. Especially I like Tim Cook. Tim Cook's a very smart guy.
I only just recently dipped my toe in the water of Apple stuff. I've been completely out of that market for like a decade. I've just been completely ignorant of anything that happens with Apple Incorporated until very recently, about a month ago, after just not knowing anything about Apple stuff. I bought an iPad just like impulsively. I got a ninth generation iPad, and that's slowly been opening me up to being interested in Apple stuff again, because I have a OnePlus phone. Okay. I got it in like 2018.
Yeah. Android phones are good,
but
I like them, but I have to get used to how they work. So I don't want to change anytime soon.
Yeah, it's totally up to personal preference. But just by pure coincidence, I just hadn't touched anything Apple related in a very long time, and only recently I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. So because I've never owned a tablet before. I also just completely dodged having a tablet, and so having this big touchscreen display is like weird almost. Yeah, because I've just never had one.
I'm gonna move back onto the other questions. Okay, so do you remember what the first video you ever watched on YouTube is?
First video I ever watched?
Yes.
Oh man,
it was longer ago for you than me.
I remember like a group of like 5 videos that I remember watching. Okay, so I think I actually know what the very first was. Let me pull it up real quick.